There's a real, definable problem here, and I'm not talking about one sloppy night. I'm talking about a pattern. You watched the Chargers game and felt it in your gut. The offense felt limited, the defense looked tentative, and the overall vibe was too familiar, like the things that cost us in the Super Bowl never really got fixed. That's the place we have to start, because if you don't admit there's a structural issue, you can't fix it. First, the game plans Andy Reid and that staff have always been brilliant at scheming advantages, but lately the playbook has looked awfully narrow. There's an over-reliance on finding one matchup to exploit each week. When that matchup goes away, the offense looks lost. Whether it's leaning on one wideout or letting Travis Kelce soak up every single target, you can't build your identity around an assumption that the opponent will gift you the same look every game. And before anyone says injuries happened, yes, losing Rashee Rice stinks, but this is also about preparation. You must have multiple routes to move the chains when plan A is cut off. Second, leadership on both sides of the ball has to be louder. Patrick Mahomes was the one bright spot most nights, but you need more voices in that locker room pushing accountability and offering alternatives. Coaches can't be the only ones asked to pivot. Players who are veterans need to point out what's not working. Third, predictability kills momentum. If every opponent can flip on the tape and say they'll do X on first down and Y on third, you've already handed them the game. I don't want panic, but I do want urgency. This is not the time for excuses about travel or the schedule. This is the time for immediate, tangible corrections. Finally, there are small things that add up. Not getting the third tight end on the field when the opponent expects heavy personnel, underusing your running options, and keeping guys in packages that don't suit their strengths. These aren't philosophical changes. They're tactical corrections Reid and the staff can start making this week. Quick check-in for you. Do you think this is a short-term blip or a deeper problem? Hit that like if you agree the Chiefs need an overhaul, and if you haven't yet, subscribe. We're trying to hit 5,000 subscribers this month, and every new sub helps us get louder about the changes we want to see. Drop one word in the comments that sums up how you felt watching the Chargers game. I'll read every single one and feature some replies in the next video. If the offense is the heartbeat of this team, then right now it's beating out of rhythm. The fixes aren't complicated, but they require commitment. First, Andy Reid has to expand the playbook again. Too many drives are built around force-feeding one guy, and when that player goes down or gets covered, the offense grinds to a halt. That's not sustainable. You can't count on Travis Kelce to bail you out every single week. At his age, he needs his workload managed so he's fresh for December and January. That means being more versatile in how you call games. Instead of locking in on one receiver, you mix in multiple looks, multiple packages, and you keep defenses guessing. One big fix: use the tight end depth. The fact that the third tight end, who shined all preseason, barely touched the field is inexcusable. When you line up in 13 personnel with 3 tight ends, you force defenses to show their hand. You can run out of it. You can pass out of it, and you immediately become less predictable. That's how you manufacture balance. And speaking of balance, let's talk running game. You've got backs who can move the chains, who can grind out tough yards, and yet Kansas City consistently ignores them. Against Philly, you have to commit to running the football, not as an afterthought, not as a token draw play here and there, but as a weapon. Run at their strengths. If Jalen Carter is lined up inside, double team him and push him. Off the ball, you might take some losses, but the point is to keep hammering until the defense respects the run. Once that happens, Mahomes gets breathing room, and suddenly those deep zones back off. That's when you unleash speed on the edges. Toss it to the young guy and let him burn grass, even if he's raw. He doesn't need to pass protect on every snap if you're using him as a spark on the perimeter. It's about stressing the defense in ways they don't expect. This also ties into how you protect Mahomes. A consistent run game buys your quarterback time. You don't let defenses sit back in soft zones knowing exactly where the ball is going. You create hesitation. The Chiefs' offensive line has the muscle to double and chip up front. The problem isn't personnel, it's play-calling philosophy. Reid and Nagy need to flip the script, and it starts this week. So let me ask you, do you want to see Kansas City run more against the Eagles? Drop a simple yes or no in the comments. And while you're at it, hit that like button if you agree the tight ends should be on the field more often. Every like helps push this video to more Chiefs fans, and every sub gets us closer to that 5,000 mark. Plus, I want to know, which running back do you want to see get the most touches in Week 2? Put their name below and I'll tally it up before kickoff. Now let's flip it to the defense, because as shaky as the offense has looked, the defense has its own laundry list of problems. What stood out against the Chargers was the lack of consistent push up front. Chris Jones is supposed to be the tone setter, the guy who wrecks game plans, but instead of dominating, he looked like he was guessing at plays. That's not leadership. Mike Dannett didn't generate enough pressure. Charles Omeni, who wasn't disruptive enough, and the rotation just didn't bring the kind of spark this unit needs. The one guy who flashed, the rookie Ashton Gellett, barely got any snaps. That can't continue. If he's generating pressure when veterans aren't, then he needs to be the first man off the bench. Playbook or not, raw energy and pressure when games in the trenches, the bigger concern is accountability. Right now, too many veterans are skating by without being pushed. If you don't demand more, you won't get more. The front seven has to be challenged to win their one-on-ones, to control gaps, and to attack instead of reacting. The Eagles are not going to sit back and hand you chances, even if they come. Out throwing early, you know in the second half they'll want to pound the rock. If the line can't set the edge and collapse gaps, it's going to be a long night. This is where guys like Derek Nottie or Mike Pennell, players who can at least anchor against the run, need bigger roles. And then there's the secondary. What you saw on film last week was painful. Jaden Hicks lined up against slot receivers. That's a mismatch waiting to happen. Jalen Watson and Christian Fulton both struggled. Spong Wallow and Dave Merritt have to stop being stubborn and adjust faster. You cannot just trust that your scheme will hold up when the personnel clearly isn't matching the assignment. The Eagles receivers will torch that all day if you don't get it corrected. The fix isn't glamorous, but it's necessary. Better matchups, more situational substitutions, and a willingness to put guys in positions where they can succeed. Look, no defense is going to be perfect, but the Chiefs' defense doesn't need to be perfect. It needs to be opportunistic and tough. Right now, it's neither. And if you combine that with an offense still searching for rhythm, you get the mess we saw in Brazil. That can't happen again, especially not against a team as physical as the Eagles. So here's my question to you. If you had to pick one priority fix for this defense, what would it be? Is it A, generating more push with the front seven, or B, tightening up coverage in the secondary? Drop your pick in the comments. Or B, and let's see what Chiefs Kingdom thinks. And don't forget, subscribing right now helps us hit our 5,000 goal and keeps you locked in for all the updates you need this season. At the end of the day, this comes down to more than just X's and O's. It's about culture and coaching. For years, Kansas City has thrived on being a player-friendly environment, and when you're winning, that works. But when you start slipping, when you're dropping games in familiar, frustrating ways, it's time for tough love. You can't be the grandpa patting everyone on the back anymore. You've got to be the dad who lays down the law. That means challenging veterans, holding every player accountable, and demanding more urgency from the entire roster. This team doesn't lack talent. They don't lack leadership, they lack bite right now. Too often, the energy feels flat until Mams does something superhuman. That's not sustainable. Reid and Spong Wallow have to set the tone. They have to show players that spots in the rotation aren't guaranteed and that if you want snaps, you've got to earn them. Put the guys who bring juice on the field, even if they're inexperienced. Send a message that effort and production matter more than reputation. That's how you shake a locker room awake. The good news, these fixes aren't long-term rebuilds. They're adjustments you can make before week 2, get the third tight end involved. Commit to running the ball 20+ times, rotate Ashton Gillett into the pass rush. Stop forcing defensive backs into mismatches they can't win. And most importantly, change the mindset. Stop waiting for mayhems to save the day and start taking pride in winning your battle on every snap. Do that, and you'll see the Chiefs look a whole lot more like the championship contender they're supposed to be. So here's how I'll wrap it up. What quick win do you want to see most in week 2? Is it a change up the play calling, B, commit to the run game, or C, shake up the defensive? Rotations? Drop your letter in the comments and let's start a real conversation about it. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. We're on the road to 5,000 subs and your support is what keeps this channel growing. Share this video with one friend who needs to hear it, and let's keep Chiefs Kingdom fired up heading into the Eagles matchup.